Tonight, press freedom under siege once again. Ghana Journalists Association and Media Foundation for West Africa condemn brutal assault on JoyNews journalists and urge swift government action.
I was talking to my producer. I'll slap you.
And we are not going to sleep again. There is a warning and a signal, and we are telling them that tomorrow we are coming out. This is very unfortunate, and it shouldn't happen. That if they want to abuse the powers, we will also exercise the powers we have.
We'll hear from the harrowing and first-hand account of the brutal assault on a JoyNews senior journalist.
By the time I heard that, I had a punch from behind, heavy one, and I tried turning.
You saw his face.
I saw his face.
You can identify him anytime.
Yes, he was just behind me. So when he gave me the second punch, I could not see.
We'll bring you details of all of this here on Top Story. Meanwhile, President Mahama has directed Defense Minister to investigate the incident after condemning it. This is Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel, connecting energies. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Now, in a scathing rebuke, the Ghana Journalists Association and the Media Foundation for West Africa have strongly condemned the violent assault and arrest of JoyNews journalist Carlos Kaloni while he was covering a demolition exercise in Spintex here in Accra. Now, the incident has sparked widespread outrage, with the two organizations accusing the government and the national security of perpetuating a culture of impunity against journalists. According to eyewitnesses, Carlos Kaloni was simply doing his job when he and his guests were suddenly attacked by uniformed men. And this was live on camera. We saw it on television this morning. Now, the assault was brutal, with one of the men delivering two punches to Carlos's neck from behind after one of them had assaulted the eyewitness Carlos was speaking to. Now, the attack has raised serious concerns about the safety of journalists in Ghana and the government's commitment to protecting press freedom. Now, listen to what exactly unfolded.
Around 6:20. That was on when? Is it Thursday or some? It was Tuesday. I'm a pressman. What are you doing? He's an eyewitness. What are you? Oh. What's happening? What's happening? You are pressmen. No, but the way he handled the machine can have an impact. We are here to report on what is happening. Yes, we are media men. Yes. We understand you are doing your work, but you cannot stop us from doing our work. Yes, respectfully. Yes. Okay. Sorry. No. I'm sorry, we're using the phone. I'm just making a call. You'll not be camera with this. Not be camera with this. Now. And not be camera with this. I was talking to my producer. I'll slap you. Oh, don't slap him. This one be carrying video. I've slapped. This one not be carrying video. Go and join it. Go and join the car. Not be carrying video. Let's go. Go and join the car.
Now, for those of you who have not seen the video, Carlos was speaking to an eyewitness. Then the men dressed in military uniforms and others not in uniform came attacking them. First, a uniformed man started beating the eyewitness, and then they attacked Carlos. When Carlos was speaking to us at the back room, I was there, I was listening to him. And then they said he was rather filming. At that point in time, Carlos was speaking to the producers at the back room. But Carlos was picked up by the national security and taken in custody. But Carlos has since been released from the national security custody, but not before being forced into a vehicle, his phone seized, his camera knocked over, and enjoying what he describes as a violent and humiliating ordeal. He narrated his harrowing ordeal on JoyNews earlier.
I'm largely okay.
So,
Traumatized.
if you can walk us through what happened when you got to the Spintex Road and what we saw on the television.
So we got there around let me say 7:38 thereabout. So when we got there, there was no activity at all. So the frontage of the warehouse had been already pulled down, and we gave the update on TV. And few moments later, we saw a low bed brought in an excavator. Then we realized something was going to happen. So we perched there for some time, and few minutes later, the excavator started demolition. You know, the entire building was not demolished. It was just the frontage that had been demolished.
That time, it was only you.
Yeah.
And then on decks, that's where we saw you speak to this eyewitness, and then the intervention came in.
So the time you saw the military man attack the eyewitness was when they actually arrived. So we had no interaction with them prior to that interview. We were just rolling our interview. The only people who came before the military were the officers from Magdan Group. So the gentleman started speaking to us. Less than a minute, we heard sirens, and military men with guns, you know, jumped off and came straight to us. And you saw what happened in the video. And so we were not the only media people there. There were other journalists also who actually took to their heels, you know, but because we were the first people they encountered, we could not escape. Others managed to escape.
But personally, you as a reporter, did you suffer any assault?
Of course. If you saw the video that rolled earlier,
was the basically camera, like on the ground?
Yes, the camera was actually on the floor, you know. So it was when he had some space and took the camera. That was when he was able to film what we are seeing now. So they thought that I was filming when I received a call from a producer to find out whether we're ready to go on air. So I had two phones. One, I was using my left hand to listen to communicate, and one was on my right. So then they thought with the right phone, I was filming. That was when they rushed. And if you listen to the conversation, they said I was filming.
It was at that point that the man said he was going to give you a slap.
Yes, and by the time I heard that, I had a punch from behind, heavy one. And I tried turning.
Did you see the person who
assaulted you? I saw his face when I went back to...
Civilian or military officer?
Military officer in military. But of course, many of them were masked.
So you couldn't see.
But for him,
you saw his face.
I saw his face.
You can identify him anytime.
Yes, at close range. He was just behind me. So when he gave me the second punch, I could not see. And it took me a few minutes to, regain myself. By then, my phones were taken.
Did they tell you the reason why they were arresting you?
Nothing. The only reason they gave was that I was filming secretly.
Okay. That's the reason why they took you to the office of the National Security.
That was what they said. I mean, when the altercation was going on. But when I got to the National Security Head Office, nothing like that was mentioned to me.
And what did they tell you when you got to the office?
Nothing. So they asked me what happened, and I told them my side of the story. And I met one Superintendent Suleimana at the National Security Head Office, and he listened to me, and he said, well, I should put some statements down. I declined because I was already traumatized, and told him we'll do the proper thing at the jurisdiction where the incident happened, which is the airport police station. Yeah.
And have you done that? Have you gone to formally report this matter to the police?
Of course, I have. I have formally gone to make that report. They've given me medical form. I'm just returning from the hospital, and some x-rays are being taken, and from here to go back to the hospital for them to look at my...
What about your driver and the camera person during the melee?
Right. So when this happened, I was taken. They were still at the scene. So by the time I returned, they had left.
So that is Carlos Caloni there narrating what exactly happened to him. For those of you who have gone to the JoyNews Facebook page, you've seen the footages of exactly what transpired at that particular demolition site. Michael actually joins me in studio because JoyNews has issued a strongly worded statement condemning the attack, calling it a brazen affront to media freedom and a direct threat to press freedom and safety. The media organization is demanding immediate sanctions and a transparent investigation. My colleague Michael actually has details of that statement. Michael, what does the statement say?
So, Brace, JoyNews says and I'm reading the statement verbatim. It says, JoyNews condemns this act in the strongest terms. This is not only an attack on two of our journalists, but also a blatant affront to media freedom, the right to information, and the constitutional guarantee of free expression in Ghana. They're making some demands. It says, we demand an immediate and transparent investigation by state authorities, sanctions against the operatives involved. Journalists must be allowed, it says, to work freely and safely. We will not relent in our duty to inform the Ghanaian people. And this is coming from the high power delegation from the media house. We know that some of these things, this is not the first time that is happening to a journalist, especially from the Joy newsroom. And certainly this is not the last time they are going to hear from management of the organization. Definitely they'll be following up on it.
But Michael, do stay with me. The incident has highlighted the growing threat to press freedom in this country, where journalists facing increasing hostility and aggression while performing their duties. Our research team has been tracking the cases of assault on journalists alone since January 2025, and the findings are staggering. My colleague Caleb Zibling joins me in studio with much more details. Caleb, what do we know? Walk us through the data.
From January 2025 to July 2025, we've recorded at least 13 cases of journalists being assaulted across the country. So that's almost 2 cases every month. And the incidents have involved a mix of actors, from police officers and soldiers to political party supporters and even illegal miners. So here's a quick rundown of some of the cases. We have just today our colleague here, Carlos Kaloni, was assaulted by some military and national security officers while covering a demolition exercise. On July 11th, during the Ablekuma North by-election, Kwamina Jekum of GH1 was slapped by a police officer, and our colleague here again, Salimati, was attacked by a marksman. And then back in May, another JoyNews journalist, Latif Idrisu, was assaulted by some MPP supporters while reporting from Iyoko during the Chairman Wontumi detention. And then in February, 3 journalists from City FM, Angel TV, and ABC News were attacked by illegal miners while covering a story in Breman, Adumenia Forest. And then on February 11th, during the Council of State elections in the Ashanti region, 5 more journalists were assaulted by unidentified men. And in January 2025, Ohimik Tewia, another colleague here of us at JoyNews, at Multimedia Group, was assaulted by illegal miners while on a police operation in the Ofen Shelter Belt Forest Reserve. So yes, 13 known cases in just 7 months. And these are the ones that have been reported. So
excluding the ones that have not been reported.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Caleb Ziblim there. Now, in the last hour, government has released a statement condemning the incident. My colleague Michael Esheley is still with me in studio with that detail. Michael, what does it say?
Well, this is a statement that's been coming just in the last 1 hour and signed by the Minister of Government Communication and also a spokesperson to the President, Felix Kwachi. Also, this is titled, Government Condemns the Attempted Arrest of a JoyNews Reporter. It says the government condemns the attempted arrest of a JoyNews reporter and the assault of an eyewitness by a soldier at the demolition site. Such actions are utterly unacceptable to the John Mahama administration and have no place in our democratic society. I am directed by President John Dramani Mahama to unequivocally reaffirm his unwavering commitment to the freedom and safety of journalists. A free and unfettered press is a cornerstone of our democracy, essential for accountability, transparency, and informed public discourse. In the last 2 paragraphs, it says that government also reiterates our commitment to ensuring the safety and security of all Ghanaian citizens whose rights must always be protected. And finally concludes saying that government has accordingly directed the Minister for Defense and the National Security Coordinator to investigate the incident and ensure that the appropriate punishment is immediately imposed. Appropriate disciplinary and punitive measures must be applied without delay to ensure accountability and prevent future occurrence. This is exactly what government is saying now.
Grateful to you, Michael Papani Ashele there. Let's time now for us to bring in more people who have really been following this particular story here on JoyNews on Top Story. Well, let's start with lawyer Martin Pebu. He is a private legal practitioner and a human rights activist. Lawyer, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, I'm sure you followed it as someone who cares so much about people's rights, especially a journalist doing his work and being assaulted in the place. What do you make of it? But first of all, kindly give me an education here. When can we say someone has been arrested, or we can say attempted arrest? Is it when someone has been pushed into a car, or what exactly is it? It is. Hello, do I have Martin Pebu on the line? Uh-huh.
Yes, so I want to start with the straight to the answer, then I can give a more holistic one.
Okay.
Yes, if somebody pushes another person into his car, that's stopping that first person A from moving about freely. That's an arrest, right? So arrest basically means that you confine somebody and stop him from being able to exercise his right to freedom of movement. That's an arrest. But of course, naturally, you would see that we have a lawful arrest and then unlawful one. The unlawful one, often you hear false imprisonment, etc. Yes, so the key thing is just note that as a human being, a human being has personal autonomy. The person is born with the right to movement, speech, that's if the person is of speaking age, etc.
So it means that what happened this morning, we can say that was an arrest by the National Security Operatives.
Absolutely. Although it is an illegal arrest.
Okay.
It's unlawful because, you see, when you arrest somebody, under the Constitution, it says that the person must be informed immediately the crime for which he's been arrested. From what I see, I don't see any Miranda rights being read to the Carlos.
Yeah.
You have to tell him on what basis, because you are not allowed, even police, soldier, etc. You are not allowed one person to just haphazardly or, willy-nilly take hold of another person and arrest. No. Even if police, you're going to do it. Of course, the citizens arrest will come to that. But the key thing we are looking at, I think we'll restrict to this one so it doesn't become an abstract lecture. So if the soldiers thought that Carlos Kaloni has committed an offense, then they would have made that known. But even then, it's so let's say this. The soldiers per se usually don't have police powers. Okay? It's the police who have police powers. So if a soldier is going to arrest, then it means that the soldier will arrest when meaning that he's arresting as a citizen. Yes, the citizens arrest, just like Kojo Baka. If you are walking right now and you find A busily assaulting B, it's not a fight, or A just takes hold of B and starts beating him to pulp. Yes, you can arrest him for assault because you've seen it with your eyes. So now the key thing is that what offense did Carlos Kaloni commit that allows the soldiers to arrest? Remember, soldiers are not police. They don't have police powers. Soldiers are not super police. Their functions are different. Soldiers under Article 210 of our Constitution, they are to protect us against external aggression.
Is there any circumstance where, if there is a demolition exercise, the military and the national security will have interest in it to prevent people from reporting on it, such that if a reporter does, he'll be breaking any law?
No, unless there is an express court order. So if you want to put a gag on the whole thing, then you would have to get a court order and then they will set up a perimeter. So they won't even allow citizens within a certain radius of the demolition. So without a court order, a citizen passing, he doesn't even need to be a journalist. A citizen passing and seeing something untoward is free to film.
Okay.
Yes. Unless in the express of a court order, that's gagging any reportage. They can't. And I'm not told that's a security zone either. Those things don't arise.
Okay. Please stay with me. Let me bring in the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, because they have also condemned this particular development. Albert Jumfo is the president of GJ. Mr. I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Do I see Mr. Jumfo on the line? Okay, we'll try and bring in Albert Jumfor. He is the GJ president. They have been following up on this particular matter quite closely. But let me bring you in again, Lawyer Martin Pebu. What is your expectation of what government should do? Government has released a statement and is calling on the Ministry of Defense to conduct an investigation into it. Is that what you expect the government should do now in this particular case?
Oh, it's a good starting point, but naturally that cannot be the end. It's a good way to start. And so the next thing is that, considering that we saw the beginning of the video, all right, where you see Kaloni just standing there, it doesn't appear that he's committed any crime, right? The soldier had no right assaulting him. So I expect that minimum, the soldier to be interdicted. You see how IG Younu was very swift. The Ablekuma, is it Ablekuma North, the by-election. You see the policeman who assaulted the journalist. IG Younu didn't waste time. Quickly, he had him interdicted.
Okay.
So the military should be very swift. And I'm especially interested in that because I can remember the last time there was a City FM reporter who was assaulted by the military. We didn't hear what finally came out of it. And then before that, also some journalists assaulted by the military. We need to rein in the military.
All right. Do stay with me. Let me bring in the president of GJ, Albert. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us here, unfortunately. Okay, I think the GJ president is gone. But so you are calling for the interdiction of this particular military personnel?
Absolutely. And very quickly, it needs to be swift to send a lesson to the rest of, them that no, there's no space for that. The head, you see, under our current constitutional architecture, the military is not a law unto themselves. So that's why the commander-in-chief is the president. So military under civilian control. So it's not for nothing that the president, who is a civilian, is commander-in-chief. It's a very salient constitutional balance that you don't leave the military as law unto themselves. That's why the president is commander-in-chief. So we need to safeguard that constitutional architecture. It's not only in Ghana, most places in the world. Yes, the military, but under civilian control. The military is not a law unto themselves. Unfortunately, some of our citizens who don't understand our constitutional architecture usually like to hail the military. They even forget that, look, we've had military rulers, and it was the same corruption, worse corruption, brutalities, etc. Some were too young, etc. Please, it's military under civilian control. Okay. Let's emphasize that. Under civilian control, not military as a law unto themselves.
Okay, so I've followed some comment on social media in relation to this development, and people tend to say that, well, this is never going to end. They've given up. What can we do to ensure that this military brutality, national security, abusing people just in the name of being national security operatives, when can we ensure that it ends? What must happen?
Let's give it more traction. Just like, we're having it this evening. Tomorrow morning, let it be the key matter. The next day, for the rest of the week, you will see, you will get results. But if tomorrow you move on to something else, the military, they're also politicians. When you go into the military, you hear face fine, eye service. Military too is a lot of politics. So they also watch, okay, beyond some, grades, certain positions. It's a lot of politics. If you are not politically aligned, you won't get promoted, etc. So what I want you to understand is that military too, there's a lot of politics. So if you move away, they won't do anything. But if you put the radar squarely on them, tomorrow, the next day, you are discussing it. In 7 days, you'll get results. But you move away tomorrow and see. It will turn like the assault on the City FM reporter and the previous ones. So it's all about how much we stay the course.
The presidency is asking the Ministry of Defense to conduct an investigation into this. What kind of form should this investigation take? So that, as you're saying, we can all keep our eyes on it to know where it's going.
Oh, ordinarily, you can have the Minister for Defense can say, look, he wants to hand it over to the police. Yes, because the police within the jurisdiction of the police. I think that would be better. Others will tell you that no, when police want to question military, they don't agree. So what I'll do is that maybe the Minister for Defense should do some consultations and then decide. But what we should not lose is you losing sight of the case. Put it on your radar every day. We will get results.
Quite interesting, because once this continues, and we've seen the number of people who have been abused in the year, it makes it quite difficult for journalists to do their work. I mean, and you've spoken about what needs to be done, but if there's something happening and we are going to report, how do we, or what do you expect journalists to do to stay safe?
Usually wearing the press, what do you call it, attire, so that they see clearly that this is a journalist. But even without wearing the press attire, the basic thing we are using is that the starting principle is that if they think the exercise is a very sensitive one, so they don't need citizens, whether journalists or otherwise, there, you would go for a court order. It's only a court that can cause that. Or sometimes they say if it's declared a military zone, etc., those things. But once those have not been done, it doesn't matter that any citizen, we also have citizen journalists, right? Any citizen person and seeing something that looks, it may just be that the person is excited at what he's seeing and is filming. So without a court order prohibiting this things, and without the place having been declared as a security zone, nobody should go near it. It doesn't matter that the person filming is not a journalist. No. Right. So those are the prerequisites. Were any steps taken to declare the place a security zone, or is there a court order forbidding anybody from reporting on that exercise? In the absence of that, no, you're free to take the pictures. You're free to film.
So I'm grateful to you, Lawyer Martin Pebu, for talking to us tonight. This has been Top Story, brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies. Up next,